Hello, everyone. I'm Andrea from the band Lacuna Coil, based in Milano, Italy, and we're about to release a new record on February 14th, Valentine Day, called Sleepless Empire. It is our 10th album, and we can't wait for people to hear it. It's a good compilation of uh, mixing of the old school sound of Lacuna Coil with some newer influences. It's quite a heavy, dark record altogether. And yeah, we're very excited to start a touring cycle and play for people all around the world and let them listen to the record.
Fantastic. Thanks for joining us today, mate. It's a pleasure to speak with you.
My pleasure. We're very excited and loaded for the things to come. We're still finishing some of the promo. We still have to shoot one video before release, and we have a few photos to do. But it's we're in a good position. Like we're everything is getting in the right place.
Yeah, very good. And you said that this is your 10th studio album, mate, and you guys have been around for quite a long time, but do you still get excited about an album release, or is it just, you've gone through the motions now and it is what it is?
No, we're very excited because we love touring a new album. We love the reaction of the people when they hear the new songs. So it's still a very challenging process because it takes a long time for us to work a record, and we don't release albums just to release it. Especially after all these years, we really want to release something when we have something new to offer, something new to say, and so we're very happy. And if we wouldn't like anymore what we do, then we would quit because it's impossible. There's too much energy and effort to be put in what we do in front of a new album cycle to not loving it.
It's quite a romantic gesture putting it out on Valentine's Day too, mate. It's a bit of metal for Valentine's Day. What could go wrong?
Yeah, and then actually there's going to be a surprise exactly on Valentine's Day connected to the meaning of the date. But I can't announce it yet, but it's going to be a special surprise, very, very on purpose, let's say.
And where can people hear the surprise? Do they have to come to your website, or are you doing a stream?
No, it's more like music and images. It's like combination of the two, and but very, very on point for Valentine's and a very special relationship.
Beautiful. And besides the 20th anniversary reworking of the album Comalies, this will be your first new album since Black Anime back out in 2019. So, what's changed with the
Yeah.
band in that period?
Obviously, we've been home for a couple of years as everybody else in the world, and that didn't felt like a creative moment for us, not very inspiring. We kind of felt more flat, although we kind of enjoy staying home for a little bit because we haven't been home for such a long time in many, many years. But beside that, really needed to, recharge and reload afterwards before we actually found the motivation and the inspiration for a new record. So basically, we've done that, and we start touring again in the United States in the beginning, and slowly put in motion the normal routine of the band. And then the anniversary for the 20th anniversary of the classic record Comalies came up, and we didn't just wanted to do a remix or remaster of the record, but we wanted to do a bigger operation in order to really celebrate the record. And we decided to kind of rearrange and rewrite the record with the current lineup, with the current sound of the band, and to tribute the original one. And so we did a special release with the original one and the new version of the album. And that kind of, I think, gave us also the right motivation to restart. Going in the studio without the pressure of a full new record really gave us the will to restart and the understanding, and also kind of influence the newer album, because if we go back and revisit those atmospheres of 20 years ago and kind of rethink what we were doing back then, and that kind of has been brought somehow spontaneously in the new record as well, I think.
Yeah. And some people could get confused by that and think that you've gone off in a completely different direction by saying that. But the album is still Lacuna Coil at its core, but it's just, you're right. It feels like you've pressed the refresh button and you've all come out and just gone, this is how we want to have fun.
Yeah, I think at this point in our career, we do have a trademark sound that no matter what is not going to change. You know, you always going to recognize my voice, Christina's voice, and certain way of harmonize the music of Lacuna Coil. But obviously, we always try to bring a little bit of freshness, a little bit of a contemporary sound. We like to the album to be relevant, even for somebody that only listened to Lacuna Coil for the first time now. You know.
Well, you're actually spot on there, mate. Because like I've heard of you guys heaps, and I've heard bits of music here and there, but I've never sat down and listened to a whole album. I'm sorry, until this one, and it just blew me away. I was like, "What have I been doing all these years?"
I mean, you know, we always have that. You know, a lot of people know the name of the band and know that we've been around, but maybe they never took the chance to listen to the music because they thought we were doing something little different than what we actually do, or they, for some reason, they never really put attention into it. You know, so there's always people discovering the band, even if you are quite an established band or you have a name that everybody sort of know, but that doesn't mean that everybody really listen to your music, you know. So it's always great to expose yourself to different audiences, you know, newer or even older that never pay attention before, you know.
Yeah. I think a lot of that comes down to the labels that music puts on people these days. Like you've been always labeled as a gothic metal band, and that's all I've heard is you guys are a gothic metal band, and I'm just like, I don't want to sit through a whole hour of synthesizers and bullshit. So that's part of the reason. You've been shortchanged, I think, by being lumbered into one genre.
Yeah, I mean that always has always been sort of a not a problem but an issue with us because we started off from that scene for sure, from the gothic metal of the end of the 90s, and our label was producing a lot of those records of those bands of that movement, and so it was a natural connection. And in the beginning of the career, I think we did apply completely to that style because that's where we were getting our inspiration. But then I think already on the third, fourth record, we kind of start to contaminate more the music, and some records being a bit more metal, some record being more dark, maybe some more rock. But in general, we have kind of melt that gothic atmosphere and blend it to some heavier stuff, some more groovy stuff, and always open on different influences. Sometimes it's been a bit more new metal, sometimes a bit more metalcore, and I think nowadays we kind of include all of this together in the records, you know. But I think it's normal that it's once you get labeled, it's hard to move away from it. Now they call us alternative metal, which I don't know exactly what it means,
I mean,
but maybe it's just a bit more generic than gothic metal. I don't know.
why don't I just go back to the basics and say fucking good band? You know, that's if I read that.
Yeah, to me, there is not a huge difference even between rock and metal. I don't make a huge difference. I like music, alternative music in general, whether it's electronic, it's whether it could be even hip hop or metal or rock. I like everything that has a kick, you know, that has something spicy to listen to. I like it, you know. I don't care what it is, you know.
I'm with you, mate. Try running a heavy metal magazine and see how many people get up you for putting something on that's not metal enough. You know, it's like
I know the topic really well.
back to the new album, Sleeping Empire, mate. Like you can tell it's going to be a good album when there's a heap of singles released, and this one's no exception. You've got Gravity, there's Oxygen, Hosting the Shadow, In the Meantime, and Never Down. That's not a bad effort.
Gravity is the one we just released like 2 days ago with a video. And before that, we got Oxygen, Never Done, and In the Meantime was the previous one. But it's been quite a chunk of time. We release it through times because nowadays it's just different. You know, music work differently with the streaming services and stuff like that. Everything it's like step by step. It kind of went back a little bit to the era of the singles. You know, that was like in the 60s. You know, when Elvis was releasing music, it was mostly singles after single, you know, and not before you actually put out a full album, you have a collection of singles. And nowadays, with the streaming policy, it kind of went back to that. You know, you have 4 or 5 songs before you actually put out an album, which is different than when we started for sure.
Yeah. And do you think those songs overall represent the album, or are they just a taste of what's on there?
I think there's still a couple of different moods that we haven't really portrayed in the singles. After that, I think more or less you got an idea of the album. But there's a song like "I Wish You Were Dead" or a song like a Scarecrow, maybe Sleep Paralysis. Those three are still a little different than what we have offered so far, and then the rest is more or less in the veins of the what you heard. You know?
Yeah. And you've also got two guest artists on there. You got Ash Costello from New Year's Day on track in the meantime, and you got Randy Blythe from Lamb of God on hosting the Shadow. So you guys are at the stage of your career where you don't need guest artists to help sell your album. So they've obviously brought something to each song. What do they bring?
Yeah, Randy. First of all, Randy is a longtime friend. We met each other on the Odds Fest 2004 in America, and we became friends. And then after that, we've toured plenty of times together everywhere in the world. We played festivals all over the place together. And with Randy, we're a longtime friendship. He's part of the family. He is a big fan of our music. We're a huge fan of Lamb of God as well, and so it was a natural when once we brought out the idea of having some guests. We say Randy has to be one because we're friends. You know, when we finish a European tour, sometimes he just come down to Milan and hang out with us for a couple of days, and we go to eat together. We go see a photo exhibit and stuff like that. So it's a true friendship, you know. So it was a very spontaneous collaboration. And Ash, she's we didn't know her really well, but we were looking for a female voice on to add on the song that wasn't too clean or too operatic. So we went to look for somebody with a more of a raspy, dirty-ish kind of voice. And she represented that. And then we sent her the song. She immediately was excited about doing it. And she did a great job. And she also brought some different kind of arrangement to the parts that we wrote that we probably wouldn't have done because we didn't have the kind of American flavor to the vocals. And so it was cool, a cool experience. And we decided to do just two songs, so it's not too much because we already have two vocalists in the band, so we didn't want to overdo it for the first time.
And being your 10th album, mate, like you guys have done a lot of writing over the years. So do you think it gets easier or harder to come up with new material the more you do?
It's easier because you know what you have to go through, but it's harder because everything you do you kind of feel you've done it already, you know, so you have to. And then when we feel that the song sounds too much like something we've already done, we use it usually as a bonus track. So we put it away, we say okay, we're gonna. And normally the first songs you write are more similar to what you've done before, you know. The more you write, the more you develop, and you kind of went away from the classics, from the obvious. And so we it's getting harder on that, on being really satisfied with what you do because you've done it and you want that kind of freshness that it's hard to get when you've done it so many times, you know.
And you guys, as a band, like you've been around for, like, say, over 40 years, mate, which it's a sensational effort, but it's going to be inevitable that one day you just have to call it a day. So, what do you hope the inscription would be on your musical tombstone when you retire?
They weren't too bad. No, I'm kidding. No, I don't know. I mean, it's hard sometimes, but sometimes we have to think also about the future. You know, we're more people that live in the present a lot, so we don't look too much in the past, neither in the future. But obviously, there will be a day when we will too old to headbang, too old to growl, whatever, or to double bass. Maybe I think before that there will be maybe an acoustic part of our career when we're gonna go only acoustic and do some stuff like, I don't know, like Johnny Cash did on this latest work where he was only doing the low voice acoustic, which I think was a brilliant move because once we're not physically able to do those highs, those crazy things, it's much better to go simpler and quieter, but do something with style, you know, instead of trying to be what you were and what you're not anymore, you know. And I see many bands nowadays that have been historical band that they can't handle it anymore to be as good as they used to be, and but they keep doing it, and sometimes to say why, you know.
That's a very good point. Very good. Now, I had to look through your touring schedule before we spoke, mate, and you've got a lot of shows coming up, but I did not see Australia on there.
There will be. It's just that we start normally from the closest market, which is Europe and the States, which are the main territories for our music. But I'm sure we're gonna do both Australia and Asia as soon as possible. Maybe already in this year, if not next year. But for sure, there will be Australia.
No worries at all. Now, before we let you go, mate, I've started a new segment called Photobombs. So before I speak with you, I troll through your social media and come up with a couple of photos that I want to ask you a little bit more
Okay.
about. So the first one I've got is I've been to a lot of parties in my life before, mate, but I've never been to a tram party.
Yeah, that was when we released the DVD from the show, the special show we did for the 20th anniversary in London called the 119 show. We did the show, we filmed it, and we released the DVD. And this was the meet and greet for the special show in Milan celebrating the DVD. We rented a tram that is actually running normally in the city. And if you see the outside, it's completely wrapped with the artwork of the DVD. And then we got two rounds of people because it was too many requests, so we split in two rounds. It was about an hour traveling around the center of the city, and I was also tour guiding, like explaining, oh, that this is this building, this is the place where we did this and this that. So it was really fun time. It was for one entire day on our own tram.
That's fantastic, mate. And but this party doesn't look like it would have been as much fun.
Oh yeah, this was in South Dakota, in America, in the United States, and we just our tour bus hit a snowstorm, and we slowly slide out of the road like this in a canal that was right behind the street, and our bus went this way, and so we had the police coming and saving us. Luckily, we were going really slow, and we slowly slide out without crashing too hard. And the bus actually stayed on, so we had the heating system still working because the police came and say it's going to be an hour before we can pick you up and bring you to an hotel. And so okay, but everything was working. We got a power running, so no big deal. So we had to sleep like this for an hour, and then they took us in the police car, all stuck together, and they got us into a small hotel, and we spent 3 days in that hotel, eating all the frozen food they had, and until it ran out because it was a really small town, and you couldn't walk anywhere because it was super slippery because of the ice, and so we had to be 3 days and missing two shows in that hotel.
Wow, that's a story and a half, mate.
Yeah.
Thanks very much for your time, mate. It's been a pleasure speaking with you. Sleepless Empire is out on February the 14th, and it is a really good album, mate. You've made yourself a new fan, so I'm going to go back and listen to the other 9 albums this week.
Awesome. Thank you very much.